Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about all the signs of whether or not it's time for you to go full-time as a creator. So I get this question all of the time of how did you know when it was the right time for you to become a full-time creator? And there are a few things, actually more than a few things, that I took into consideration when I was trying to make the leap, make the jump, make the switch. So I'm going to go through all of those things and obviously, this list is very subjective. So if you are someone that just doesn't feel like it is the right time for you, then it's probably not the right time for you. But if you're someone that's considering it, then this video is definitely going to be for you. So as always, I'm going to be getting ready in this video. I did do my skincare already, so let's just get right into makeup. The thing that you really have to consider if you are trying to transition from part-time to full-time is developing an exit strategy. So if you're someone that already has a 9-to-5, then you definitely need to have an exit strategy because you've been, working a 9-to-5, and you really need to start planning and thinking about things ahead of time before you take that big leap. So one of the first things that I made sure I had before I became a full-time creator was having a savings account as an emergency fund. So generally people will do 3 to 6 months. 3 is definitely more riskier than 6 months. 12 months is super conservative, but essentially you want this savings account to have emergency funds that can last you in case shit hits the fan. So obviously you can't predict different things that can happen, but you can have 3 months, 6 months, 12 months of living expenses where you can cover any costs that pop up or cover yourself if you don't make any money for the next month. So the thing about being a content creator is that you may not necessarily make the same amount of money every single month, and you may not make money every single month either. So you really have to have a savings account first as a safety net so that you can make a smoother transition and not really have to worry about when your bills are getting paid, especially if you are brand new to content creation. So I personally left when I think I had 4 months of living expenses. But like I said, it really depends on your personal risk assessment. There are actually a few websites you can go on to see what type of investor you are. I kind of use those websites to figure out whether if I was a risky investor versus a less risky investor. And I use investor because it was one of the few online quizzes that I could find. But essentially, how much risk are you able to take? Some people are very low risk, and those people tend to opt towards 12 months of living expenses before they make the leap into a full-time, entrepreneurship content creator career. Other people that are more high risk or have a higher risk tolerance are then at 3 to 5 months where they are able to still function under high pressure situations and they aren't all that scared of the different risks. Other people have said it depends on your zodiac sign. I don't know if that's entirely true, but in case you're wondering, I am a Sagittarius. So you definitely want to have a savings account though with funds that can cover you to pay your bills in the event that something goes wrong and you need additional money, or you need money to pay your bills, or you don't get any work that month, whatever it may be. And the next indicator that it may be time for you to make the leap into being a full-time creator is if your annual earnings are out earning your job. So that means you are making more money from your side gig, aka content creation, than you are from your actual 9-to-5. This also widely depends on who you are as a person. So if you're someone that has a really high paying job, you're getting paid, let's say $200K or more from your job, then it's definitely going to take you more time to replace that income from something like content creation, especially if you don't have any experience, you don't know what you're doing, that you're just trying this out for the first time ever. If that is you, you can definitely collapse time and learn all of the techniques that you need to know sooner by getting my creator course. It's going to be linked in the description box. But essentially, if you have a higher income, then it's definitely going to take you more time than if you're someone that has a lower income, less than $50,000. So if you're someone that's making that amount and you can consistently replace your income or make even more from content creation, then it's probably time for you to take that leap. Now, again, this is assuming that you have a risk tolerance, that you are confident in what it is that you are doing. You also have a plan. So having a plan of how you're going to either increase your different streams of revenue or increase your revenue from specific streams, it really is so personal. But one of the things that I really considered was, if I'm making more money from this online gig as opposed to going to my traditional job, then maybe if I had more time to commit to this side gig as my full-time job, then I could really take off. And that was true for me, but for some people, they are unable to maintain their side gig as their full-time job because they don't have the discipline or the strategy or any type of system set up that allow them to succeed long-term. So I did just do a video on how you can create a content plan and how to plan out your content so you're always remaining consistent. But if you are someone that doesn't have a process, if you don't even have a system for how you're going to create consistently, the different things you're going to do from week to week, then it's obviously going to make your job so much harder, even if you have more time on your hands as a full-time creator. So obviously planning really, really goes to an effect, and you can make plans, right? And those plans completely fall through, but it's the act of planning and just being aware of the different things that could happen is what will allow you to have a longer standing career, as opposed to people who don't plan and just kind of move whenever they feel or move, based on motivation. So I will say this one was definitely a thing that really encouraged me to move on to full-time creation, because if I'm making more from that than I am my own job, then what's point of me going to my own job where I actually don't even like, right? So if that is your motivation, and it obviously depends on how much you're earning from your current income or from your current 9 to 5, but something to definitely consider. The next thing is if you feel like you can comfortably manage your income, even if you aren't getting consistent income. So this is a really big doozy. And I really like to compare. I heard an analogy about this on a podcast. I don't remember what the podcast was taught, unfortunately, but they really talked about people who worked in industries where they're kind of like seasonal. So let's say you're a waitress at a restaurant that's by the shore. You are definitely expecting to make more money during the summertime when people are on vacation and, they're going to the shore, as opposed to when they're not on vacation, they're not at the shore, right? So one of the things that the podcaster recommended was that you actually focus on managing your money throughout the year so that you can still pay your bills every single month, knowing that you're going to make the most amount of money during that summer season. The way they broke it down was that you can assign different streams of revenue to different expenses in your house. And I think this was a really great point that I remembered, and I listened to this podcast years ago and I still remember it to this day. But essentially she said something along the lines of, if you again are, let's say, a waitress, and you're going to be making a much more money during the summer, maybe you use all of your salary wages, so the paycheck that you receive, which is a few dollars, you probably put that towards a gift for yourself, so you still have something that you can reward yourself with, but you use all of your tips to actually go towards your bills. And any money that you make during the tips during that 3 months is all for your bills throughout the 12 months. So that way you don't spend bill money. And then outside of that 3-month time, so during the non-summer months, you work at, let's say, another restaurant where you do the same thing, but instead that wages bill or that wages paycheck money goes towards, let's say, I don't know, you're getting a new car fund. And then the tips that you make from the other 9 months go towards you paying for your health insurance or your high yield savings or your investments. So you can essentially assign your different revenue streams to different funds and different expenses that you have. And I also think this is a really great way for you to make sure that your finances are balanced and that you're still working towards those different streams of revenue. So for creators, most creators make majority of their money through brand deals. So if you're making a bunch of money in December or in January from all the brand deals that you get during the holiday season, then you're going to use that money to pay your bills throughout the entirety of the year. But any other additional income, then you'll from, let's say, affiliate links from your Amazon storefront, you may use that money to add as extra money into your savings account, or money that you invest into, your Roth IRA, your retirement account. Or maybe you have digital products and you use that money that goes towards paying for, the shoes or something that you want, or, whatever designer bag that you're trying to save for, or whatever it is that you want, right? So I think that's a really great way for you to start to assign finances or assign different responsibilities to each of your streams of income, because it allows you to focus on different streams of income at the same time. And it also teaches you how to manage your money. So you really have to practice discipline. You really have to practice managing money even when you don't have money coming in. And that is really a skill that you just don't learn in college, that you don't learn in school at all. So if you're someone that feels like you can properly manage your money and, have more than enough to pay for different bills throughout the year or throughout, the season, whatever it may be, then it may be time for you to actually transition to being full-time. Now, there are so many different tracking methods you can use to track your own finances. I use QuickBooks. ebooks, and it's the easiest way for me to do it. But essentially, if you know that you're not only making more money from content creation than your full-time job, but you're also managing that money really, really well, then maybe it's a time for you to transition. Now, if you know you can't manage the money very well, right, then this year is a really great year for you to start to practice how to manage said money. Again, these are just things that you should keep in mind if you're considering transition to be a full-time creator. Okay, the next thing, and this one really hurt when it happened to me, and that is if you feel like you're missing out on opportunities from your side gig because of your 9-to-5. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So by this, I mean, if you feel like you really missed out on a big brand deal because, you had a really important week at work and you just couldn't get to it, and, it made you seem like you're unprofessional, you just like didn't balance it or whatever. Or if you feel like there are so many great events in your city that you want to go to, but you don't have time because you live so far and you would be coming from your job and there's so much traffic and you can't make it in time, blah, blah. That is probably a sign that you need to transition to being a full-time creator. Now, a lot of those things come and go. So things like activations throughout the year, or things like different brand deals also come and go throughout the year. So it's not a huge deal, but if you feel like you're consistently missing out on really good opportunities for you because of your 9-to-5, and again, assuming that you're already making more money than your 9-to-5 and that you are be able to manage that money from your side gig, if all those things are happening and you're missing out on other opportunities because of your full-time job, it's probably time for you to leave that full-time job. It probably is. And again, all of this goes really into your exit strategy and knowing when is the right time. But if you just feel like you can't really excel, or you're kind of hitting a ceiling in your side gig, aka content creation, because you have responsibilities from your job, it may be that time. And even if you are someone that enjoys your job, like I didn't enjoy my job, so I was like, okay, any hint of leaving, I will leave. But if you're someone that really enjoys your job, but you still feel like you're missing out on other opportunities that are much more interesting to you, that are newer to you, that are kind of bright and shiny, right? That you're like, oh, this just sounds like such a great thing, and like I can't do it because of blah, blah, blah. Again, it's probably time. I think a lot of people hold themselves back from leaving for a bunch of reasons, which is again why I say this video is just like so personal. But I think one of the things that really holds people back is that they are fearful that those opportunities will never come around again. Or they feel like they are never going to have a chance at those opportunities, and it's not going to sustain them throughout, the entirety of their career, or, the entirety of the year, the calendar year, for them to be able to pay their bills. Like I said, these opportunities come and go all of the time. However, if you see yourself like living a different life than what you're living, regardless of how happy you are at your current job, then again, it's probably time for you to leave that current job, or to just start like entertaining the idea, right? Maybe you just start adding more to your emergency fund just in case. Maybe it's just something that you have in the back of your mind and you don't quite take the leap just yet, but because these signs are popping up for you, you're like, all right, I should probably consider this and take this a little bit more seriously. One of the moments that I felt like I was missing out on things was because I was invited to a ton of events. I was living in Delaware. I was invited to so many holiday events in Philadelphia, and I could not go because I couldn't get out of work early enough. Like by the time I would leave work, get on the road, I would hit traffic. I wouldn't be able to get there in time. I would miss majority of the event, or I would be late, and it would be like an event that you have to start at a certain time, like a movie or something. So I felt like I was really missing out on all those opportunities because I just was not available because of my 9-to-5. And again, I didn't really have a 9-to-5. I had a 9-to-5 plus. Not the point. But the point is, if these things are popping up for you and you feel like you could do more with your time and more with your life if you were to participate in those opportunities, so different events and activations that I really wanted to be a part of, that I couldn't be a part of, I really felt like they would have helped me take off my career faster than what I had previously been doing, then that's really a sign too that, maybe content creation or whatever it is you're doing that is your side job is kind of a path that you should pursue more seriously. Not necessarily quit your full-time job, but just pursue it more seriously and see where it takes you, and be open to wherever it takes you, right? There are so many things that can happen from you having a platform, for you having an audience and a following, that you just can't foresee. Like there's just no way you're able to predict it. Again, these are things that I really considered when I was making that transition and trying to figure out what direction to head in. Coming back to the topic of an exit strategy, there are so many ways for you to really quit your job. Most Gen Z will just march into the office and they'll say, hey, I quit. And then their job will say, actually, you can leave today. That's probably not the best way to do it. But if it happens, it happens, right? If you are, planning to march to someone's office and say, hey, I quit, then know that you need to have that emergency fund yesterday. you need to have that thing already ready, okay? But the other elements that go into an exit strategy are also things people don't really consider. So if you have health insurance through your full-time job, you really need to figure out what you are going to do for health insurance, right? Some people will leave that to the very last minute until they find out that they're kicked off the health insurance. But I would strongly recommend that you don't do that, because you never really know what's going to happen in life and when you are going to need something like that, especially if you are in the United States. Before you actually go march into someone's office and say, hey, F this job, I don't give a damn about y'all, I'm leaving, kiss my ass, whatever, make sure you have a way to get health insurance. Just make sure, right? You should also make sure you have a plan for your current retirement gig. Or your current retirement plan. So if you have a 401k through your job, you need to really sit down and consider what you're going to do with that money. A lot of people just keep it in their 401k account, which is fine. But know that if your job currently does like a 50% match, you're not going to get that match anymore, right? So what is your replacement for that match if you have one at all? You probably should have one, or just have an idea of what you're going to do if you don't have one, right? That is also really important to consider. If you have kids and your job supports your daycare, you got to figure something out, baby. I don't have kids. I can't really help you with that, but I can tell you that you do need a better plan. You need to figure out how you're going to have daycare, okay? Or if you're going to become the daycare or something, right? Another thing you also need to consider that people really don't think about is having an accountant or someone that you can refer to for your tax returns. Like jobs will have like a resource that you can use, or they'll like put you to different resources throughout the year or at the end of the year. Because you don't have that job anymore, you don't have those resources, babe. So you got to figure something out. Okay. So again, these are all things that you need to keep in mind as you are starting to exit and as you are starting to leave and transition to what it is that you want to do. A lot of people will also refrain from burning bridges. I think that's definitely more personal than people like to admit. And the reason why I say that is because it depends on whether or not you like your job, you like your supervisors, your managers, whoever it is that you work with. It is very, very specific to who you are. A lot of people from an older generation will say, never burn bridges. Oh, keep them just in case. You never know what's going to happen. It depends on what generation you're from, or it depends on, your relationship with your job. It depends on how you feel about those people, how you feel about your job, how you feel being treated at said job. It really all depends. There isn't a correct answer in my opinion. However, I would say that you just have a network in the industry that you want to transition into. So if you are a fashion creator, right, and you're like, okay, I want to go full-time with my fashion content, but I don't know anyone else that is a fashion creator in my area. I don't know anyone who is working in the fashion industry. You need to start building those connections before you leave, because a lot of this industry is based on people that know you and people that you know too. So if people see you online, that's great, but having that in-person connection is a lot better. And if you have a lot of those connections, then you can, connect with other people and just build your network. So I would definitely recommend that you start to build your network within that space. So going to things like CreatorCon, going to VidCon, going to different creator events or panels that pop up in your city or just like around the city. It is so helpful for you down the line, because you would technically be newer to the industry as a full-time creator, but it also just helpful to know people that are in your industry, right? People that you could potentially work with, collaborate with, all those things. So hopefully you guys found this video helpful. I didn't put on lip gloss. Let's see if I can find a lip color that I like. What is going on with my lipstick? Okay, so hopefully you guys found this video helpful. If so, let me know by giving it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.